for what they want to be, for what they want to do. They cannot make up their minds just after school or after university. Many change their path, start doing something else, change their professions. Especially important. This is especially important today, as the world is rapidly changing. The demand of the labor market is also in flux. We have many developments in science, in education. So you have to use a paradigm of knowledge and of teaching that helps you acquire broadest knowledge possible and use that knowledge in many walks of life, wherever you can, so that every one of you can find your path and become successful. This is what I'd like to wish you to do and to have. But this was my monologue. This is an open lesson. So this is a lesson. This is going to be a conversation, and maybe this is going to be a useful conversation, a direct line, so to speak, from to you and for you to me. So I'd like you to start. So we have a moderator here. Yes. Good afternoon, President Putin. My name is Katerina Mazur. Katerina, thank you. I have been working as advisor at this school, helping the director and the principal to work with children here in the Kaliningrad region. My colleague is assisting me, that's Nadia Kravchenko, advisor to school number 25 here in Kaliningrad. So we're going to help you. And the children we have here in the room come from schools from all throughout Russia, from the European part of Russia to Vladivostok, and we even have children from the Donetsk and Lugansk regions. Now let's start with a student from Kaliningrad. Yes, my name is Danil Evdokimov. I'm from the Kaliningrad region, from the Solnechnogorsk. I've been studying here at Kaliningrad at one of the best schools in our city. Actually, I'm very anxious and nervous to be here, to be talking to you, but I'm happy to be one to launch this lesson on behalf of our students. So, I'm an activist of the Russian school movement for many years, and I have been throughout Russia to many places organizing different events. I've been to Artek, to all Russian children's centers elsewhere. And so if you've been there, you know what's the atmosphere like, what's the feelings like there during all those massive events. And just recently in Kaliningrad, we've hosted our first all-Russian youth forum for the young people from all throughout the country. This was an amazing event for our region. It's for people who are aged 18 and above. Well, so I could also have participated there. I'm also 18 and above. Yes. Well, the children and the young people who came here were able to do many interesting activities and to find out about history, Russia's history. So my idea is that maybe we could organize similar events, not just in Russia, not just at Kaliningrad, but elsewhere as well. But our hands are tied. In Kaliningrad, we don't have this huge center that we could put for, so we could organize events like these, and so we could invite people from other regions. So my idea is to maybe create here on the shore of the Baltic Sea a city, a children's center like Artek, or something similar. What's your opinion on that? Well, that's a great idea, but we need to finish the construction of the museum and education complex here in Kaliningrad. Once it's completed, we can organize some events here, but these are one-time events, like the the young people's meeting that you mentioned, but establishing things like Artec or Orleanek or other uh, things like that, it's a very good thing. Uh, it would be a very good thing for Kaliningrad because you have a very good mild climate. It's only a matter of money, to be frank. But the idea is right one. So we have oceans in the Far East. We have Arctic at the near the Black Sea, and here on the Baltics, near the Baltic Sea, it would be an amazing idea to have a similar community, a similar community for young people and for children. But if we're thinking about that, we need to calculate the expenses for the upcoming next years. And this is an amazing place to organize things like this. So thank you. Thank you, Daniel, for this question. Next question. Let me see your hands. Kira Golovate from Moscow. Yes, let me introduce myself. Good afternoon, President Putin. My name is Kira. I'm 17 and I'm studying 11th grade, and this is the 4th year that I'm studying at the class dedicated to biochemistry. I've been winner of various conferences, and I really like science and biology, so my question is going to be about that. In many countries, a lot of funds are being invested in geoengineering and biotechnologies, and these products that they create are similar to printing organs like they do in biomedicine in many countries across the world. Next year is going to be a year of technology. And what are the prospects of developing biotechnologies in Russia now that we are cut off from many foreign technologies? What are the prospects for those areas that we could develop, especially considering that there's certain negative stance that many people have with respect to products like printed meat or meat that's been shipped, etc. Well, when you say that we've been cut off from some of the technologies, well, I wouldn't say that's exactly what happened, because in some projects, in some sciences, there are international projects that Russia is participating in. Some projects, there's like 70% participation is up to Russia, and in space, for example, as well. They cannot develop space technologies without our participation, without Russia. Because delivering materials, delivering astronauts and cosmonauts to space is what we do. I know that the US could do that as well, but it's much more expensive than using our rockets. So when you say that we are cut off from technologies, it's not exactly correct. But it's not even about that. We need to develop our own key areas of technologies. Shouldn't be catching up to the rest of the world or try to make just as good as things as good as they do them. No, we have to become leaders in certain areas. We need to become the best in the world. So you talk about the Kurchatov Institute. Yes, I participated in a biotechnologies conference there. Well, yes, of course, biotechnologies is one of the most promising areas of research. We have a program up to 2030, and if I remember correctly, $120 billion are being allocated for this program. So you've been at this conference at Kurchatov's Institute. It's just one of the 3 centers that we've established in the region to develop those technologies. It's important that we keep tackling fundamental scientific research everywhere, and we need to see the results of that research. The result of that research needs to change the way our production, our healthcare, our medicine, our pharmaceuticals work, our agriculture is structured, etc. even, well, overall, we've been successful at that. Well, naturally, one of the more urgent and still unresolved issues is equipment, especially domestically produced equipment. And this is an area we need to make certain steps forward. But there are decisions aimed at solving that, and we are working towards that. So we do know what needs to be done, and I agree with you that this is a critical area. I hope that with your help and with your participation, we'll be able to achieve a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Kira. Maybe let's hear from one of our younger participants, Alexander Smolin.
Добрый день, Владимир Владимирович. Меня зовут Смолин Александр. Мне 12 лет. Я из города Скопина Рязанской области. У моей мамы есть подруга-волонтер. На День поэзии она взяла меня с собой.
My name is Andrei Smolin.
Я очень люблю поэзию. И поэтому я решил прочитать старикам стихи. Второй раз я вернусь сюда на 10 монахов. Но уже со своим классом.
I will go back there on
Еще я победил в
Cosmonautic
региональном
Day
конкурсе
and
«Марафон Добрых дел 2022». За это я
we also took part in a cultural marathon, and I will use the money I made there to help the elderly. And I talked to my friends, and we all agreed that we must visit elderly homes whenever we can and to volunteer that way. Well, let me tell you this. Well, what I will tell you, maybe it will be hard for you to understand, but there's nothing complicated about that. I think you said that your mother took you to the elderly home. That was the first time when you went there. So I can assure you that your mother has a very good heart, and she will pass this on to you. So this is not part of your education. This is who you are. This is part of your soul, and this will be the person you will grow up to be. This is not like a chore. This is like something that you need inside yourself. For example, your mother is, I understand she is a great person, a very nice person, and you are all very young, and you probably know that parents, they have this instinct, and this is about genetics. This is how humans are made, and especially women. And being a mother, and it's a great happiness to have children. This is why we all exist, and this instinct is very strong, and it inspires people to act and to protect their children. So you can see this in nature everywhere you look. And children, they sometimes lack this instinct to protect their parents, and this is probably quite natural. Maybe some will disagree with what I say, and some grown-ups will hear what I say and will tell me that I'm wrong, but I think this is quite obvious what I'm saying, because we all, the grown-ups and the younger people, we all think that it is natural that our parents are nicer to us, and we believe that this is how things are, this is how the world works. But when you look the other way, the way younger people, children treat their parents, the elderly, there is no such instinct, there is no physiology behind that. But what do we have there? We have education, and the way younger people behave towards the elderly is a question of education, about the care, about the attention older people need. And this is what your mother understands, and she wants to show you that the way you treat the elderly, this is indicative of whether the society is developed and how developed it is. And this is what makes a society effective and productive. So you need to have this in you, to nurture this spirit inside of you, and to make sure that everyone around you also adopts this mindset. You're doing a very important thing, and you have to understand that people who live in elderly homes, they are left without their families, so they live without their families, and this is very important for you and for them. So if you feel that you're doing something good for them, you become a better person, because you understand that you're doing something good. Because not only they need it, but you also need that as well. And in these elderly homes, there are a lot of educated people who had a lot of experience, who have seen many things in their lives, and you can learn a lot from them, from talking to them, from communicating to them. So thank you very much for what you do. Thank you, Mr. Putin. And there is another thing I wanted to say. On September 2nd, my father has his birthday, and due to restrictions, COVID restrictions, I could not get him a present, but maybe if you shake my hand and I will shake his, I will pass on your handshake to him. What's your father's name? His name is Vladimir. Vladimir, we would like to wish you a happy birthday. So 1, 2, 3, let's say happy birthday. Thank you so much, Alexander. And now let's move to the other side. Елизавета, Donetsk People's Republic. Good afternoon, Mr. Putin. I'm Shvedenka Yelizaveta. I'm from Makeivka, Donetsk People's Republic. Let me say a few things about myself. I love reading, dancing. I am learning foreign languages as a hobby. One of my classmates went to St. Petersburg under a scholarship program, because I went to Art Tech, so I couldn't travel to St. Petersburg. Are there any plans to continue this university exchange program? Because I would like to be part of it, of course. Please sit down. So if you like it, and if your friend liked it, if you wanted to take part in this program, I think that would be quite useful, and you probably know better than anyone else since you live there. So these people believe that they're part of our common humanitarian, cultural, linguistic space. So you speak Russian, this is your mother tongue, so we're part of a single cultural space. And since over the past years you have been facing this challenging situation, you must have this opportunity to be part of the Russian world, and to be able to undertake these trips. And of course we will carry on with these programs. So in this regard, my mother and my grandmother are watching the live stream right now. Can you wish them something good? Well, of course, I would first of all like to thank them for their granddaughter and daughter, and so I would like to take Ludmila and Valentina and to thank them for and wish them all the best. Thank you so much, Yelizaveta. And moving on, we have a young man in the center, Danila Skrabin. Please, Go
Добрый
ahead.
день, Владимир Владимирович. Меня зовут Данила
Good
Скрябин.
afternoon,
Я
Mr. Putin. I'm
активист
Danila
российского движения
Skrabin. I'm an
из Владимирской
activist
области и член
from
Польского общественного совета музея
a
Победы. Так получилось, что моя
who
активистская деятельность сейчас больше всего связана с
volunteering
историей.
group in the Vladimir
Как полгода назад
region.
я
We have been focusing on history lately. I organized the historical forum, The Truth Makes You Stronger. We had school students from across our country, including DPR and LPR, and we exchanged views on the ongoing developments, and we had breakaway sessions, and we said that we used to use various historical artifacts, documents, and to study history. And in our school museum, there's, for example, a notebook of Vladimir Oknev, one of the first engineers of space rockets, where there is an inscription by a US astronaut who wrote that without you I would have never returned from space. Now we're moving into a digital age, and most of the information that will become part of history, and it will, so all the information is moving online, where you can easily shift and change information. When we were opening this forum, we had an exhibition on what is going on in Ukraine. There were physical evidence, for example, a history book from Ukraine, and we had the proposal to hold this exhibition across Russian schools, but it is hard to deliver all the exhibits to all the schools in Russia. We thought about creating digital exhibitions, and we're ready to work on this, so there are volunteers who are ready to get involved, but we would like to have your support and maybe the support from the education ministry in order to obtain these digital exhibits from the participants of the special military operation, or people collecting evidence from people who live there. So what exactly do you need? Well, we need some help in obtaining digital materials from like recollections of the people, and some, of course, the technical infrastructure. Of course, I will relay this to my colleague. Well, first of all, we need to make sure that these materials are accurate and reliable, because accurate information is essential in this regard. Whenever you have physical evidence that confirm what is going on about the past events, it is always very important. The girl from Donetsk People's Republic was talking about this right now, and you know what happened there. So yesterday I had a conversation with Mr. Kravtsov, the education minister. He visited Donetsk and other territories, and yesterday I was amazed at what he said. School students didn't even know that the Crimean bridge existed and that it was real. They thought that this is a fake story, that this was made up. They did not know that Ukraine and Russia were part of a single country, the Soviet Union. They simply ignored these facts. So this is how they were educated. And probably this is not just about school students, but adults as well. They thought that there was no such thing as a Ukrainian state before the Soviet Union. Well, there were some quasi-states before 1918, but then when the Soviet Union was born, there was Ukraine that emerged, and the Communist Party created the republics within the Union and transferred some of the traditionally Russian territories to Ukraine, including Donbass, despite the fact that people in Donbass did not want this, and the Donetsk and Lugansk regions, initially they were expected to be a part of Russia, but Lenin said that they needed to change their decision, and these territories to Ukraine. So nobody knows why this happened, and nobody knows that after the government coup in Ukraine in 2014, people in Donetsk and Lugansk, at least most of them, and people in Crimea did not want to recognize and to accept that this government coup. Well, this is a complex issue, and this war has been going on for 8 years, and our mission is to end this war and to protect people, and of course to protect Russia, because on the territory of modern day Russia they have been creating an anti-Russian enclave that threatens us. So our soldiers
это заслуживает всяческой поддержки со стороны общества. Это очень важно. Со стороны молодых людей. Потому что ребята, которые воюют там, рискуют своим здоровьем, многие погибают. Значит, они должны понимать.
So they have to understand what are they fighting for. They're fighting for Russia and for people who live in Donbass. And for this reason, the issue you raised is very important, and of course we need accurate evidence, and we need to ensure that there is this evidence. So you're doing a very important thing, and thank you so much, and thank you for your reply, Mr. Putin. Thank you, Danila, and we're waiting for the next question. Well, Varvara Kirpichenko from Smolensk will ask the next question. Good afternoon, Mr. Putin. I am Varvara from Smolensk region, from Veresh, 8th grade student. I've just returned from EcoTrail environmental school. We presented our environmental projects to business corporations, and we had these environmentally awareness characters, and in my project these characters, they educated kids on how to live an eco-friendly lifestyle. So when I return to Village, my hometown, we cannot do what we promote in our fairy tales, in our environmental project, because the closest place where we can properly sort out the trash we throw out is 125 kilometers away from us. Can we deal with this issue in the near future? Well, first of all, regarding waste sorting and separate collection of waste, I have to tell you that this is one of the key issues for our country. Environment in general and processing household waste is these are very important questions. There are a lot of household waste in Russia, so separate collection of waste is a major prerequisite for that, but without creating the necessary infrastructure, the necessary waste processing plants, we cannot do this. So under the environment program, we have a plan for developing this infrastructure, and this plan is advancing in a quite satisfactory manner. Last year we exceeded our goals 2 times. We processed 2 times more than we expected, and this is because we are building these waste treatment plants. And of course we have to understand that we have a very big country, a huge territory, and this requires some time. We have been working, and there has been substantial momentum in our efforts. And you said that your closest waste sorting station is 120 kilometers away from where you live. Of course, this is impossible. You cannot do this, but this does not mean that your efforts are in vain. The very effort to promote this eco-sensitive mindset is very important for a country that has this ambitious agenda. And why is it ambitious? Is because this requires a lot of effort and a lot of planning and organizing, and you have decided to dedicate your talent to this undertaking, and you're doing a very important thing, and the government will support these initiatives. I will not go into details about operators, about the waste collection, and the governor is smiling because he's working on this here in Kaliningrad. So is this true? Okay, indeed. But what you do is very much relevant. This is a mainstream thing to do. So thank you very much, and thank you for your efforts.
Let's get to the next question.
С той стороны уже много спросили, давайте с этой. Вот Александр
we've,
Сергеевич у нас очень
Heard a lot from this side. Now let's go to the other side. Mr. Raspachikov.
Владимир Владимирович.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. President. Yes, my name is Alexander Raspachikov. I'm 17, and I'm a student at the digital school here in Moscow. And I'm a developer and an IT enthusiast. In May this year, in Russian schools, there have been special events where children could propose their own projects that could make the country greater and stronger. I was a participant of one of these far-side sessions, and I proposed creating VR equipment to help people of dangerous professions train. So could you please explain what far-side session is? Yes, a far-side session is the type of event where we, based on scientific facts, on history, and on knowledge from other areas of science, we try to prognosticate the future for the upcoming 10, 15 or 20 years in order to address various issues that may arise. During those far-side sessions, I got acquainted with dozens of interesting people, and I personally create Telegram bots, and for example, I create a Telegram bot for the young people, for the young students in our school, which can help them find the right room or see the schedule, etc. So we are doing important things and sometimes very good products for commercial companies, and we want to create the future right now together. So, Mr. President, what would you say if we propose that ourselves, like students of higher grades, be introduced into the government services somehow? Maybe we could help you with certain technologies and optimization. Yes, you just talked about helping develop your region or a country for 10 to 15 to 20 years, that this far-side sessions could help better create priorities and prioritize in development. Well, this is in fact one of the most important things in governance, is priorities and prioritizing. So you are very young, you're 17 years old. Some people are volunteers, some people go to old people's homes, etc., and help other ways. So this is actually direct involvement in government's work, because you are helping the government, you are helping the country, and it's not about just creating the governments of the youth, etc. No, it's about doing what matters. It's about actually getting involved. And you know that we have programs such as the Land of Opportunities, the Country of Opportunities, or other platforms where you can get your name heard, and you can participate in different projects by various companies and state agencies. This is something that we're going to continue to develop. It's not just about knowledge and competence, it's about what's in demand. And your skills are certainly in demand. Thank you.
Спасибо большое, Александр.
Thank you,
Владимир Владимирович, мы
Alexander.
знаем, что вы очень спешите на
Mr.
важную
President, I know
встречу,
that
но у
you
ребят так
are in a
много
hurry right now,
вопросов.
but
Вы хотите
we have so many questions.
Наоборот,
You
мы
want to
хотим
get rid of me?
попросить
No.
хотя бы один. Можно?
I'd like to ask you at least one more question. You can even ask more than that.
Больше на сколько? 2, 3, 4, 5.
How many
Ну,
more?
хорошо, вы,
Two,
если что, нас
five?
прервите.
Да-да-да.
Well,
Так,
you tell us when to
следующий
stop.
вопрос.
Okay, so the next question
Лесных
is
Данил, Архангельская
Daniil Lesnik,
область. Прошу прощения.
the Astrakhan region.
Здравствуйте, Владимир Владимирович.
Good
Меня
afternoon,
зовут Лесник Даниил.
President.
Я
My name is Daniil
единороссиец,
Lesnik.
активист
I'm
детского
from
общественного
the
совета Музея Победы, активист
Young
объединения
Army
«Сила в
and
правде». Занимаюсь
I'm an
спортом,
activist
карате,
of the
кусинкай,
truth in
брейк-дансом.
power. I do
И уже начал
karate
задумываться о
and
том, с чем я буду связывать
sports,
свою
and
будущую жизнь, то есть
I
какой
am
будет
now
моей
thinking
будущей
about
профессии.
what do I do with my
Я
future career.
остановился на двух
And
сферах. Это
for
такие
now,
сферы,
I'm
как
thinking
сфера
about
технологий, то есть IT,
technology,
и военная сфера.
IT, and the military.
Для того, чтобы заниматься любимым
But
делом,
in order
нужно быть,
to do the thing
минимум
I like,
дисциплинированным,
you,
методичным,
I have to be a disciplined
чтобы
person
правильно
personally
организовать свою дальнейшую деятельность.
in order
Поэтому я
to
хочу обратиться за советом к вам, как
guide
одной из самых
myself,
дисциплинированных
my future
личностей, как
self.
правильно
So,
дисциплинировать себя и свою
as one of the most disciplined people I know, I'd like to ask you, how can I help how can I become more disciplined? Well, I wouldn't say that I am
Но
the most disciplined person ever. I still have a lot
одной
of work to do. But let me just tell you that discipline isn't enough. You have to be internally motivated to achieve greater goals. You have to have a broad outlook on the issues that you're tackling. You have to have an emotional, an inner force that helps you with these responsibilities that you feel. So, another important component of success is, of course, a creative approach to any goals that you might set. So, discipline shouldn't become
Это важная составляющая. Но сама по себе она
the
но ведь вот в городе, где мы находимся, жил
an end of itself, so to speak. In and of itself,
один из крупнейших
I know that Immanuel Kant, one of the greatest philosophers of the world, lived here in Kaliningrad. He was born here,
то, что это был немецкий город.
and at that time this was a German city, but he became a Russian national when this city became part of the Russian Empire. And Immanuel Kant was a very disciplined person.
Кроме этого,
Everyone knew that.
повторю еще раз,
But in addition to that, let me say that again, it's
такая точность во всем закрывала
you don't want this discipline, this idea of being precise in everything.
И вот все это вместе в
You didn't allow that
на мой взгляд,
prevent you from being a creative person, because to achieve success you need to have many other qualities.
Трудолюбие вообще это отдельный
Being
талант.
hardworking,
Это не просто
which is a talent in and of itself as well.
это талант заставить
It's
себя
a
работать.
talent to
И
make
уметь
yourself
это делать
work,
продуктивно.
to make yourself
Организовать
a productive
то,
worker,
чем ты занимаешься.
to
Всё
organize
это вместе с
your
дисциплиной,
work
повторю в третий раз, им
and
может дать
together with discipline.
вот,
This
то, что
will produce
занимаетесь
a great result.
спортом,
But the fact that you are doing both sports and interested in technology, etc., this is a good thing. It broadens your outlook, and the fact that you are interested in military and science as well,
Вообще
these
все
are all
открытия
things
делаются сегодня на
that are
и
important.
это
All scientific advances today are made at the junction of many different areas.
блестящим образованием проходят
Young people, we have actually in the army
и очень хорошие результаты добивают. Одно другому
special
не мешает.
services for people who are doing science, and
Значит, если это военное дело,
they're happy.
если это
And so,
научное, замечательно. А если
if you're interested in the military or if you're interested in science, it's great. If you're interested in both, you can combine those two things. You need just only to search, but you are certainly on the right path, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to ask you
Можно вам, пожалуйста,
about something Can
для
I
этого является большой
please
честью.
shake your hand? This would be a great honor to me. Okay, come over here.
Следующий вопрос.
So, the next question.
Давайте Эмилия Котляр.
Let's go to Emilia Kotlyar.
Добрый день, Владимир Владимирович.
Good afternoon,
Владимирович.
Mr.
Меня зовут
President.
Эмилия Котляр.
My name is
14
Emilia
лет,
Kotlyar.
я
I'm
живу в
14
городе
and
Южно-Сахалинск.
live and
В
study
восьмом
in Yuzhno-Sakhalinsk
физико-математическом классе
in the 8th grade
Также
of
я
the
получаю дополнительное
mathematics
образование
school.
в детской
Also,
школе искусств
I get
номер 2.
additional education at the School
Мне
of
нравится мой
Arts.
родной остров и мы с семьей
I do choreography.
путешествуем по нему,
My family and I
посещаем
travel a lot,
культурные и природные
and
достопримечательности.
we visit
Также
various
в
natural
свободное от учебы время я
sites.
занимаюсь плаванием, настольным теннисом,
In my free time, I do
люблю
table
общаться с
tennis,
друзьями
I
и читать
swim,
литературу.
I like to read
Главной
and
моей ценностью
spend time with my
является
friends.
семья. Мой старший
But
брат
the most
человек, с
important
которым
value
я
for me
беру
is
пример.
my family.
Моя
My
собака
elder
Фиана
brother
тоже своим
is
но
someone who I
сейчас
believe
моя
to be a
жизнь
role model,
связана
Это маленькая
and I
с
have a
Сибарином,
dog,
небольшая средняя
a Shiba Inu called
Сейчас моя
Hinata.
жизнь неразрывно
And
связана с конкурсом
right
«Большая
now,
перемена». В
my
прошлом и в этом году я
life
участвовала в этом конкурсе.
has to do a lot with
Оба
the
раза я одержала победу.
big
Помимо
recess.
основного
This is
конкурса, мне нравится жить в
an
Украине
event
большой
that was
перемены.
held recently
Мая этого
where
года
I
я узнала
met
о
a lot
том,
of
что
interesting
будет
people.
создано
And in
общество
May
детей и молодежи.
this year, I found out that there will be a movement for the youth in Russia created, and June I became an ambassador of that movement. Also, I was interested in the youth movement where we could develop various names and attributes and values that we could use for that
Если бы это
that
состоялось
event.
на планете,
If you were my age, what values and what names would you use?
Как он называется?
Well, it's difficult to say.
Что конкретно там?
So this is called the big recess. But what do you do there? Well,
Помни.
my challenge is to remember.
Да.
So you do history. You're interested in history. Yes, that's great. I'm actually a big fan of history myself. There are some things that everyone knows and some well-known truths that without knowing history you cannot make the future. And well, naturally,
То, что лежит как бы в
when
основе развития.
you study history, you study things that
Без этого вообще никуда невозможно. Не понимая, кто мы
that
такие,
guide
мы
humanity's development. Because if we don't understand who we are, what we are as humans, we cannot move forward. And this is only something you can learn from history. I just spoke about the Donbass and how it ended up being separate from Russia.
Правильно или нет?
So, in order to know if we're doing the right thing, we need to know history.
Но есть вещи, которые
But there are certain
являются
things
важнейшими для развития
that
страны.
are important for any country to develop,
Генетика,
to develop in the world, like genetics, like digital technologies, biotechnology, bioengineering,
большие, значит,
big data,
все, что связано с большими данными и так далее.
everything that has to do with big data,
Главное
yes.
для человека найти себя.
But the most important thing
Если
for any
человек
human is
чувствует,
to
что он
find
занимается любимым
oneself.
делом,
if
то
you
тогда
feel
он
that you're
будет
doing
самое главное,
the right thing,
то,
then
чем
you'll be
ты
happy.
занимаешься,
And the
с
most
тем, что
important
ты
thing
любишь.
for anyone is to combine what you are doing with what
Успех
you
очень
like to do.
неизбежен. Если
And
человек
if
какие-то
you achieve that, if you are able to do that, you are
при
bound to be successful.
внутреннем осознании своей силы и правильности
That's,
выбранного пути. Поэтому
That's
хочу
why
каждому из вас это пожелать.
I'd like to wish every single one of you.
Для себя сделал, но когда, если вы,
Now, if you ask me what I would do if I did what you are doing,
трудно сейчас сказать, потому что
if I had an opportunity like that, it's difficult for me to say because I'd have to go back so many years and remember what was relevant at the time. But the way I lived my life is something I wouldn't do it otherwise.
Так,
I'm satisfied.
следующее. Давайте Марта
So,
Сысоева.
Let's go. The next question, Marta Sisoeva, Moscow. afternoon.
Я учусь в 10
Марк
классе
Сосоева.
школы
I
15-18.
study the 10th
И у меня к вам
grade
больше вопрос,
and
связанный с личным
the
опытом.
10th grade, and I have
Мой
a
любимый
question
предмет в
to
школе
you
это
about personal
биология.
experience.
Сначала в
Because
анатомии
my
меня
favorite
очень
subject
заинтересовала
is
медицина.
biology,
Но моя
and
проблема была в
I'm
том, что
very
я
interested
всегда
in
хотела стать
medicine.
стилистом.
But
Я приняла
in
участие
addition to
в
that, I've always wanted
конкурсе
to become a
на высоких
stylist,
бердыша.
and
И
so
это
I
победила
participated
в нем. Это
in a
был
competition
незабываемый опыт для меня. И во время
about
этого конкурса я смогла попробовать профессию стилист на практике.
that's,
Но даже несмотря на
where I
такой
could
опыт,
practice being a
мысли о
stylist, and
медицине и мысли о том, что я хочу стать врачом, меня не покидают.
while
Я начала
I'm
об
so
этом
successful in that,
задумываться,
I'm
и в этом
still
году у меня
thinking
появилась возможность
about
посетить
medicine
школу
and
юного
working in
хирурга
that
во втором
area.
Московском
And this
медицинском
year I was
университете
able
имени
to
Пирогова.
participate in the
Это был
Pyragos
Не
потрясающий-
просто медиком, а еще и
Да, еще и
хирургом.
хирургом, да. Я очень
the
благодарна этой
Pyragos
школе,
Hospital
потому что у нас
School
были
for
настоящие
young
хирурги.
surgeons.
Они приходили
Yes,
к нам
and
из больниц.
this
И
was
часто
an
с нами
amazing
были
experience.
врачи,
We
говорили, здравствуйте, что
saw
вы делаете,
other
мы
surgeons
Это был очень
teach
потрясающий
us
опыт.
lessons,
Я общалась
and
с
it was a
настоящими
great
врачами,
experience. I was able to
исследования, мы делали
speak to
операции,
real
мы
doctors.
выписывали.
We
Знаем
we
очень
could
много
do
нового.
actual surgeries,
даже
for example,
оказывали
on
первую
on
помощь.
pigs, and we were able to
Но
learn how
после
to
этого я
do
начала
first
сомневаться,
aid,
что же
many
мне
other
нравится
things.
больше.
But after doing all that,
И
I
именно после
started
этих курсов я поняла, что медицина
wondering
намного ближе,
what's
я бы
more
хотела
important to
связать
me,
свою жизнь именно с этой
medicine
профессией.
or being a
Мне
stylist. Because
кажется, что это было бы очень здорово,
right
если
now
бы
I
почти
think
по всей
that's
России была возможность
being a doctor and
попробовать
doing
каждую
medicine is
профессию
more
узнать и
important.
понять, что им ближе,
Um,
что им нравится
but
больше.
What I
Это
think is
очень
important
трудный
right
выбор,
now
без
is
поддержки его сделать
for
правильно.
every young person in Russia to
Я
be able
хотела
to
вас
try out
спросить,
different
возможно
professions
ли внедрить такую
so that
систему
he or she would
России,
know what she actually
позволяющую
enjoys. So could we create a system like that in Russia where every kid would be able to try with his own hands, try out some profession or some
это и стараемся сделать.
some line of work?
Ранняя так называемая профессиональная
Well,
ориентация.
Yes, this is exactly what we're trying to do,
К которой мы стремимся.
to try
И чем
to
раньше, тем
help
Потому что вот вы
young
ломаете
children
систему.
and young people
Вот вы
as
все
early as
попробовали,
possible
смотрели, что это
to find themselves, to find their, what they enjoy doing. So you tried out many different things and you decided what you enjoy in the end.
Не видел, он был руководителем крупной клиники в
In
Петербурге.
fact,
И как-то я к
I
нему
know a
пришел,
person who was a head of a large clinic in St. Petersburg,
шли,
and one time he invited me,
огромный формат.
so I came there to a room where there was huge lamp, a green lamp, and there were two surgical tables, and the surgeons there were performing operations, performing surgeries on the heart, and that's when I realized that being a surgeon is certainly not something that I have the stomach to do. But that's why you need to try everything out.
Но мы к этому
For
стремимся.
yourself,
Если
if you're ready,
я сейчас не буду
want to
перечислять,
do this. Well, I'm not going to list
направления
all the areas of work,
конкурсов там и так
all the competitions that we have
Будем это, безусловно,
for
будем
young people
расширять.
to try out their skills or whatever they want to do.
Нет смысла
But
возвращаться.
this is the third or the
Это
fourth time
важнейшее
I'm saying
направление
this.
для того, чтобы помочь
This
человеку
is very important for
для себя
any
правильно.
person
И там, если
to help them
осуществляется,
find their path
будем делать это
forward.
дальше, расширять.
And
Большое.
we will certainly continue to work to do that. And the fact that you were so successful at that, that's amazing. And I hope that,
Я как бы думал, как,
and
устроиться.
actually,
Я тоже старался
when I was thinking
поработать,
about
попробовать, посмотреть.
what to do in my life, I also tried to,
Самое
well,
главное,
try out
это
many different
почувствовать,
things.
это
This is very
понимание.
important to feel,
Я
to have this
говорю,
feeling whether
ну,
this
просто
is
Нужно все пробовать.
what you need to do, what you don't need to do.
Большое.
So I wish you luck. Thank you.
Давайте, может быть, я вот похожу немножко так.
Как вам угодно,
Да,
конечно.
ну, давайте вот мы
Хотите.
вот немножко сядем. Да, пожалуйста.
Егорычева Ольга.
Добрый.
Добрый день, меня зовут Егорычева Ольга, я из города Брянска, Брянской области, активист российского движения школьников.
From the school movement of Russia since 18 years old. I have been a tutor for school students and mentor, and the program I've joined enables school children to try themselves in various professions and undertakings. So school students go through 7 educational tracks. So every person needs to have a mentor for
Владимир Владимирович, скажите,
advice,
пожалуйста,
for
какие
example.
предпочтения
Mr. Putin, did you have these mentors who guided you
Знаете,
through your life and your major life choices?
с мыслями
Let me
попробую ответить неформально.
respond to you informally. So I will not be talking about the mentorship as an institution,
Это очень
and
важно.
what you do is very important. You are a young person yourself, and for
Помоложе,
people of your age or those who are a little younger, you are an important
которых вы являетесь
voice
авторитетом,
for those of,
нужны
who can listen to you. You can convey to them the right messages, but
оно сопровождает
in
нас.
general, mentorship is something that accompanies us throughout our
Причем это
lives,
наставничество не
and it begins with our
такое
parents.
профессиональное, а
And this is
морально-нравственное.
not
И оно
about
передается
professional
не нравоучением, а
undertakings.
личным
This
примером.
is about serving as a
Это
role
чрезвычайно важная
model,
вещь.
and this is
Мы
very
даже не
important.
осознаем этого.
We sometimes don't even
Мы просто
understand that we
ведем себя
act
так,
as mentors.
как
We
люди,
just
которые
behave
являются
ourselves
авторитетом
in
для
a
нас. И это
way
прежде всего
that
наши родители, бабушки, дедушки.
reflects how our parents, our grandparents have educated us. And I've said this before, but I have to repeat it right now. My mother told me that
Ребенок, вот,
she was 7 years old and a child,
первоклассник по сегодняшнему
first
дню.
grade student,
Значит,
as we say today.
это мои родственники жили в деревне, они
And my family, they lived in a village, they were rural.
7 лет ей было.
This was a rural area, so she was 7 years old, and there was a poor person, a homeless person who was passing by, and my mother said, I chased him, this person that he was begging for bread, and she chased him, and my grandmother, she saw this, and she told my mother, go after this man and bring him back and give him food. She did this, and they found a place for him to spend the night, and the next day they sent him off and they gave him some food, and my mother, she learned this lesson for her entire life. She shared this story with me when I was little, and I remembered this, and now I am sharing this with you as an example of a generous soul, of loving thy neighbor. And this is something very important that we pass on from one generation to another. This is part of our cultural code. This is what mentorship is all about. I remember that I had my elementary school teacher, Ms. Zhilova, and I remember her very well. She was a very kind woman, and I remember the way she treated us in a very balanced and motherly fashion, and I remember her, and I will remember her always. I had another teacher who also had a big influence on me when I was a little older. I had a coach, sambo and judo coach,
бороться до конца.
who taught us to fight until the very end.
Чрезвычайно важная вещь.
And this is something very important for any person, but for a man, a boy who will be a man, this is especially
Это тоже
important.
воспитание, это есть
And
воспитание.
this is what mentorship is all about.
Знаете,
This is part of the educational journey, and you probably know that I worked in security after graduating from university, and
внешнее развитие.
very quickly I started working in foreign intelligence, and
Работал человек уже такой пожилой.
I had a colleague who was sitting next door to me, Alexander, so he was working next door to me, but before that, he worked for 20 years
разведчика нелегала.
as an
Чтобы было понятно,
intelligence
разведчик нелегал не
officer,
прикрыт дипломатическим паспортом.
abroad,
каждый день
so
рискуя.
he did not have any cover-up as a diplomat, for example. So every day
Здоровьем, а может
he lived in risking his life and his freedom, and he worked there for more than 20 years. So one day I asked him, so how come I'm only starting off, but you worked 25 years abroad, and we are at the same level? So you are sitting by the
Я запомнил тоже на всю жизнь.
desk to me.
Вот он посмотрел на меня и говорит, «О,
So how come? And he told me I could have been elsewhere. I had other offers I could accept, but I don't need this.
Родина доверила
There was a time when my homeland trusted me, what it did not trust anyone else. So I
Я не жду
understood that I was
благодарности за
important
то,
for
что
my
я сделал.
homeland. I do not expect
Я
my homeland to be
благодарен
grateful for what I
Родине
did.
за то, что она
I am grateful
дала
to
мне
my homeland
возможность так работать
for
и быть
giving me
таким
this
востребованным,
opportunity
реализоваться.
To
Я
do
благодарен
what
ей.
I
Не
could
жду
do,
благодарности.
and I'm grateful,
Вы знаете, вот
and
когда
I
я
do not
искал таких
expect
простых,
any
таким простым,
gratitude from my
доходчивым
homeland.
словами, вот
And
почти
he was using very simple
меня
words,
даже
just
что-то в
like
голове переменилось.
I'm talking right now. So
Сказал,
this
«На ноги,
really
на ноги встал».
changed my
Это просто
mindset,
специально.
and I understood
Бытия, жизни.
what it meant
Нет,
to live
удовлетворение
and
своих
what was
амбиций.
the importance of life. So it's
Слушай.
not about ambition, it's about serving.
Самое